Earlier today, we got an opportunity to speak with Bobby Heenan, and we started the conversation by asking him what he's been up to lately.
Well, where I'm at right now, I'm just, I wrote the book. I don't feel like I want to get involved anymore with wrestling. There's really nothing out there except the WWE.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not there's a market for that and there's an audience for that, but it's not the wrestling I want to commentate on or spend that much time being involved in the storylines.
So after all the years you spent in wrestling, which was a lot of years, were you able to save up enough money? Were you wise enough with your money where you don't have to work now? You don't have to go and work for the WWE if you don't want to?
Oh, I could have done that years ago. Only reason I stayed in the business was to get insurance with WCW.
Yeah.
And I told my wife when we got married, I said, two can eat as cheap as one if you don't eat.
Yeah.
So, throughout your many years in the business, what really stands out to you as being special? Because you were in it for so long, whether you were a competitor inside the ring and you also did a lot of work as a manager outside the ring.
Well, I like to think that the 93,000 people of WrestleMania 3 being part of the main event, Hogan, Andre, and myself, I don't see where that's going to be surpassed for a long, long time, if it ever is. And who knows if a manager will be involved. And
Yeah.
who knows how big it will be. I mean, it can always be done. Records are meant to be broken, but that has to stand out in my mind. Plus the friendships I made with some of the real decent people in this business.
You talk about that huge WrestleMania 3, Hogan, Andre the Giant. It was built up. One of the biggest, probably the biggest match of all time. What do you think of the current product in wrestling and the way, you know, the audience has been waning and the storylines just don't seem to have the same kick like they used to? I mean, stuff used to really matter like Hogan and Andre. When Andre ripped the cross off Hogan's neck, it meant something. Now, you know, the guys kill each other, but it doesn't mean as much anymore.
Well, and the guys don't know how to sell either. They don't do high spots anymore. They do routines. They're like Rockettes.
Mm-hmm.
So for a 20-minute match, you'll see 158,000 bumps.
Yeah.
In a 20-minute match in our days, you may have seen 10 good bumps. But meanwhile, the guy was selling the ninth bump or the eighth bump, and it made you get your heat a lot easier. Plus, then when he made a comeback, his comeback meant more. Now they're just doing things to hurt themselves. That make no sense to me.
Now, like I said, you know, you spent so many years being a manager, and that's something that we don't see anymore in the business. Is that like a fine art that people just don't understand anymore?
Well, there's a thin line between a manager and a wrestler. We're all wrestlers. And we're all actors. We just have different roles we play. So I played the part of a wrestler for a while. I played the part of a manager for a while. I played the part of a commentator for a while. While I was a commentator, I still managed. While I wrestled, I still managed. So I don't think anybody knows how to develop the character of a manager. I don't think they need managers. Managers' mentality a long time ago with people was that it's a young kid starting out or it's an old guy finishing up. They don't know what else to do. And we're giving it to somebody that can't talk. Well, when I started managing, I decided I was going to manage like a wrestler and wrestle like a manager. And I was going to talk for my men, but also let them talk. If they never have any identity, all the heat's on me, and that's going to work all the time. So if you can spread it out, and that's the trouble I had with Rick Rude. He always thought I was trying to steal his heat. He wasn't smart enough to realize if we got heat, then we got heat. It wasn't just me, it was we. Plus, I knew more about managing than he ever could think about knowing as a wrestler.
How difficult is it to really get heat in the wrestling business? Because so many people try to do it where they just get in cheap heat and it doesn't last and it doesn't really mean something.
Well, the day of getting heat is over because people know it's not real. But when I started out in the mid-'60s, a portion of people believed it. I know they did because a guy shot at me in Chicago and shot 6 people.
Oh, wow.
I've been stabbed in the leg. I've been cut in the arm with a straight razor. I've had a guy throw a whole cup of, I thought was beer on me, but it was acid. It didn't get on my hands or nothing, but all I had left in my suit was a pair of cuffs and a zipper.
Wow.
And then I had the people throw chairs. I've had people throw darts. And then, you know, after WWF started and with Cyndi Lauper and wrestling and all that, you know, glitz and glamour, they realized it was a show, so it was a lot easier.
Yeah. Do you like that part of wrestling, the show part, or did you like it better when it had the more legitimacy to it?
Oh, no, I like the show part for a simple reason. It was easier on you. You didn't have to fight with the guy in the ring for 10 minutes. Then you didn't have to fight the people on the way to the ring and back. Plus, you made more money nowadays than we ever made then.
Yeah.
But there are aspects of it was a lot more fun. You learned your business better because you got to ride in cars and talk to the other guys you rode with, and you had to learn how to do interviews. You didn't have somebody talk for you. You had to try your butt off to draw a good house because that's how you got paid. Promotions I used to work for, they'd be $10,000 in a house. They'd tell you it was 8 to make you feel good, but they pay you on 6. So that's just the way it was.
We're speaking with Bobby The Brain Heenan here on Between the Ropes. Now, Bobby, you talked about the similarities between being a wrestler and a manager, but how about your transition to a color commentator? Probably the best ever in the industry. How did you make that transition, and how did you feel your first couple nights and as you went along through the years?
Well, excuse me. Thank you. It wasn't a hard transition because, I've been talking for 20 years, 30 years in the business, and what happened was Jesse Ventura was doing primetime with Monsoon. He went to do that movie with Arnold.
Predator.
And so Vince asked me if I would sit in and do it. I said, sure. So I sat in and did it, and he liked it, and they kept it. And Gorilla was the one that taught me. He said, remember, you don't call none of the action. If you want to say something that's amusing, you want to say something serious, fine, but don't call that, he's coming up the top rope, he hits him with a drop kick. You don't have to call none of that, but you have to watch the monitor. You can't look in the ring because they may not be shooting what you're seeing. So you've got to call what's coming across on TV. And he said, don't worry, we'll go through it a couple times just to get used to where your eyes are. And that was it. And if it wasn't for Monsoon, I was caught on it after a while, but that's how we started out, him telling me the procedures and everything. It was very easy. It was more fun than I had doing anything in the business.
What was it like working with Gorilla Monsoon? Because you spent so many years with him once you joined WWF, you guys worked very closely.
Oh, yeah, we vacationed together, our families, and he was one of my dearest friends. The loss of him really hurt my family and myself. He was a gentleman. He was a class man all the way. He had diabetes. He wasn't in the greatest of health. Didn't drink. Didn't carouse. Very seldom swore unless you got him mad. Other than that, he was just a pleasure to be with. And a sense of humor. You wouldn't have to say anything to him. He just knew how to follow me, and I knew how to follow him. It was Abbott and Costello.
If you could, talk about how special it was to do some of the shows with him, especially like the primetime wrestling, because that was something we hadn't seen before, where it's basically you and Gorilla talking in studio and then going to the matches and coming back. And the interplay between the two of you was something very unique and something very special, which really drew people to watch that show.
Not many people knew this, but we had to sit there. We did 3 shows. And
wow.
We had to sit there for, they were 2 hours apiece.
Yeah, that's a lot of taping.
We had to roll through the footage and just watch what was going on because Monsoon said that's the best way to do it. Because when we come out of tape, then we'll know if something happened funny in there or something happened serious, we can talk about it. So we'd sit there for 2, 4, 6, about 9 hours a day up in outside of Baltimore. And we would do 3 shows, and it felt like a half hour because it was just so much fun with him. I wish they'd have taped the stuff between breaks.
That'd make a great DVD now, huh?
Oh, yeah.
With all they're releasing. Now, Bobby, during your managerial days, you managed a lot of guys. Is there anybody particularly you really liked working with, anybody you didn't like working with?
Well, I liked working with them all. I liked working with Andre. I liked working with Bockwinkel and Stevens. I liked working with Blackjack Lanza. I liked working with Rashke, Flair, Kurt Hennig, Ernie Ladd. I didn't particularly care for Rude, and I didn't like the Valiant Brothers at all.
Yeah.
Because they were just, they were a low life. They should have been someplace in the hills of West Virginia. they weren't, they were very, how do I say it, low-class people. They would never rent a car or take a cab. They would hitch a ride, or they'd ride in the back of a truck or something. And just the kind of people I don't want to be around.
I can tell you they look the part, though.
Well, if you want to look like that, go ahead.
They live the gimmick, I guess.
And then so many years throughout your career, you've always been a heel character. I mean, everybody has hated you all over the country. What was it like doing that, especially early on? Because, like you said earlier, so many people hated you and were vicious about it and coming after you, but it was something you did so well in drawing the ire of the fans.
Well, you know, all baseball players want to be actors, and all actors want to be athletes. And I guess this was a time when I got to play a part. I got to be a bad guy. And it was fun being a bad guy because you didn't have to be nice to kids or people. You're in a restaurant, somebody comes and asks for an autograph, I always write down, tell your parents to teach you better manners. I hand it back to them. No, I'm sorry I didn't sign the autograph. It was no big deal. I was protecting the business for something that was really stupid because everybody always said, well, you know, you can't smarten the people up, it'll hurt the business. All the promoters always said, now don't do this or that, not to me, but to everybody, you know, it'll kill the business. Well, what they forgot to understand is I'm the business. The wrestlers are the business, not them. They didn't care about us. We never had insurance. We never had a pension. We had no profit sharing, nothing. Singers, actors, on TV, sports people, everybody has something. We have nothing. So they didn't care about us, so that's why I wrote the book. I wrote it for a simple reason. The people are smart now, so why not hear it from the horse's mouth? I'll tell you what it's all about. And if those people are mad at me because I blew the whistle, well, it's just tough because once, you know, everybody knows that Blackstone don't make an elephant disappear. But once you tell the people how he does it, that's going to kill his magic. And that's just what they've done. They told everybody how we do our tricks.
You know, in your book, you talk about your time with WCW after you left WWF, and basically you characterized it as the worst years of your life. Could you ever imagine that wrestling could be that bad? You could be that unhappy working in pro wrestling?
Well, you know, I wouldn't have stayed there had it not been for the insurance. See, before that, from 65 until I went there in 94, I never had insurance. I broke my neck in 83 and had to wait till 95 till I had insurance to pay for the operation. The Crusher, he had to wait till he was 64 or 63 so he could have a triple bypass. So they never cared about us. And I never thought it would come to that time where I would hate the business that much. I didn't hate the business as much as I hated the lack of intelligence when it came to producing a show. Like Mark McGuire hit 70 home runs that year. He came to Atlanta, and he wanted to meet Goldberg. So Goldberg went over to Turner Field, and McGuire ripped his shirt off and rubbed his bat on his shirt, and then went out and hit 70 home runs that year. Well, Vince McMahon would have had McGuire and Goldberg in Louisville picking out wood. He'd have had him taking batting practice. He'd have been doing everything to show it. We never aired it or showed it because that was McGuire and Goldberg's idea, and it wasn't theirs, and I don't think they knew how to do it. They never sent a camera crew over or anything. And this was the hottest story going. McGuire was going to hit 70 home runs. And then what do? They got 40,000 people in the Georgia Dome, and they beat Goldberg. Please.
Yeah. It's so crazy, too, because with everything going on with that promotion, and everybody was taken down. Nobody really cared about the product anymore, and it really showed in the end, and it affected you as well, because I remember a part in the book where you talk about how you just wanted to get in there and get out. You just wanted to do your job because nobody else cared. Why should you?
Well, I wanted to care because I had insurance. Other than that, and I was making a very good living, too. But it just wasn't fun, and I don't like to work unless it's fun. I don't like to do nothing unless it's fun. I know these people are listening and saying, well, hey, I work and it's not fun. Well, that's not my fault.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, maybe you should have got a better education. Instead of working for the plumbing company, own it. So, but that's up to you. I don't care about that. But I'm saying a lot of people are unfortunate not to get that kind of an education. I don't mean to insult anybody, but they always give you those stupid things.
Mm-hmm.
But no, it just, like with Vince, with WCW and WWE. It's his baby. He gave birth to it. He cut the cord. He slapped it on the butt. He brought it to life. Difference with Bischoff and Turner, that was Ted's money. It wasn't Bischoff's money. It wasn't anybody's money but Ted's money. If Ted would have run it, we would have all been popping out of the corner with Buck Owens on Wrestling Hee-Haw. It just wasn't their money. It wasn't their responsibility, and they didn't care. And it showed. And there's a lot of good people. I'm talking about the people in the office. Some of them were good. Some of them were lucky to have a job. A lot of the technicians, a lot of just people associated with the business, referees like a Mickey J and those guys, they depend on the business to pay their bills.
Mm-hmm.
And they just took it out from everybody.
So you talked about being in WCW mainly for the insurance, and that's a lot. I don't think a lot of people understand is, while yeah, wrestlers may make a lot of money, but there's a ton of road expenses, and the main thing is you have no health insurance, no benefits, no nothing, and if you get hurt, you're pretty much on your own. Are you one of the guys in the business that really was for unionization, but nobody really is willing to speak up about it?
Well, at the beginning, you didn't speak up because they blackball you.
Mm-hmm.
And even if we all got together, they could sit out for a year and come back and still have more money than the boys could. Some of the boys had to sell their furniture sometimes to change territories. And it's not the kind of millions everybody thought we made. Not like that. Not until WWF started did the boys really start to make money. I never had $100 grand a year until 85.
Yeah.
That was 20 years I've been in the business. And in those days, I had to pay for my own gas. I had to pay for my own room. I had to pay for some of my flights. The far ones, like in AWA days, like to Denver, they'd pay for. But they was on such a cheap airline, by the time the nuts got back to me, the sack was empty. But no, they didn't care about you. Load the wagon. Don't worry about the horse. They used to make me in the AWA, I'd work sometimes 2-3 times a night and get juice for less money than the guys were getting in the main event.
Really?
That's why I left there. This is ridiculous. And there's no benefits, nothing for us. That's what makes me mad. There are guys I know, like Red Bastien. He's getting a new hip put in. And some guys, they had to wait till they got the business so they could get enough money to get an operation.
Even somebody like superstar Billy Graham, he's in the same boat right now.
Yeah, he's having problems. You know, but he made a lot of money. I don't know what he did with it, but you know, that can happen to anybody. Bad investments and families and stuff.
Yeah.
But it's just there was nothing for us. Not a damn thing for us. There used to be a saying: "It's not what you make; it's how much you save."
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to save on the road. You know, if I want to get a cooker in my room and eat ground meat and get Cokes at Walmart. And go into a restaurant. I knew some guys did. They'd ask for ketchup and hot water, and they'd make tomato soup. I remember guys in 1965 in Tennessee, they had no money to stop and eat. So what they do is they all chip in and buy a pot roast for like about $1, and they wrap it in tinfoil and put it on the manifold of their car, and they'd drive to the town, and they'd stop before they got there and take it out. They'd eat that was their dinner.
That's living on the road.
Yeah.
That's living on the road right there.
Right there.
Hey, Bobby, when you decided to write the book, did you use anything? Did you look at any other books previously written by either wrestlers or managers? No, all yourself?
Yep. No one else's career parallels mine or you even care about. And most of the guys that wrote the book, I got jockstraps older than they've been in the business.
You know, a couple months ago, WWE came to your house and they did a nice piece on you, which they aired on their confidential show, and they talked about your health condition, everything. What was it like seeing that piece on TV? What were your thoughts about it?
Well, I thought it was very nice because Gene Open called me. He was about 50 miles from me. And he said, would you want to be on Confidential? It's a new show. And he said, I know we have a book coming out. We can plug the book. I said, sure, if I can plug the book. So they came over and they shot some footage. And Vince let me plug the book twice. And anybody that knows Vince knows that he won't let you do that unless he owns it. He don't own me or the book. He was just nice enough to let me do that, and then he put me in his Raw magazine.
Yeah, I saw that.
And he never asked for a dime. I've never talked to him. I talked to him once since I left WCW, and that's it. But I thought that was very nice of him. He didn't have to do that, so I have nothing against the guy. Never have.
One of the few guys. How is your health now? Because I know you had throat cancer, and you were having to go through the rehab for that.
Well, that's funny. I just did an interview with some guy today. He called and said he was in some newspaper. He sounded like a 14-year-old kid, probably dressed like the ultimate fool.
I wouldn't doubt it.
He said, would you do an interview? I said, sure. He said, when? I said, can you do it now? Oh, my goodness, yes. So he said to me, Mr. Heenan, welcome. It is nice to have you here. How is your health? I said, I died 2 days ago. The guy says nothing. I said, hello? I died 2 days ago. He said, mm-hmm. I said, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to make you laugh. He said, question number 2.
Oh, God.
Oh, no.
I don't think this guy works for SI.
I don't think he's working for the New Yorker.
I don't think
I
so.
think it's Jim Rome. I died 2 days ago. He bought it.
Boy.
Well, it's amazing what some people will buy these days. I mean, whether it's in the past or now. I mean, if you put it in the right kind of terms, or you just kind of shock somebody, they'll believe anything.
Especially.
Yeah, there's people that probably think Owen Hart was an angle.
I'm sure there was.
Sure.
It's amazing what people think of.
It's.
Yep. You know why they have no belief in anything? Because of Kennedy. When they shot Kennedy, and they couldn't find the killer, and they had a warrant commission, and they just said Oswald did it, but everything can't be well out, really, what happened. And then Nixon resigned, and he burglarized an office, and no one was really got in a whole lot of trouble. So the whole country feels they can get away with anything. They don't care anymore.
Yeah, well,
No respect.
It's the country's been desensitized to a point at this now. I mean, you can see it even when you look at wrestling. When you were talking about earlier, the guys will do 100 flips, and back in the day it used to just be one move that would matter. Now you can kill a guy and hit him with a chair 100 times and nobody cares.
Well, like I was doing a radio show in Chicago, and the guy asked me if I ever been hit on the head with a chair. I said, I've been hit so many times the top of my head smells like ass. But I never was hurt that way.
Yeah.
But it's just not the same. It's somebody's going to get very severely hurt someday.
I can imagine.
We've gone through tables like that because those tables are from Formica, and I went through one by accident once in Wisconsin, wrestling Tito Santana, and it's made out of Formica. And I took a bump on it from the apron, and my leg went through it, and it cut me to the bone below the kneecap.
I've heard of a couple cases of that happening.
It's similar to what happened with Fit Finlay when he was in WCW doing one of those hardcore matches. It completely tore his leg open.
Hardcore? For what? I wouldn't have a hardcore match with Bugs Bunny.
So, do you think you left your mark on the wrestling business? Because you did come up with some very interesting things, especially some of the phrases, calling people humanoids and ham and eggers, and some of the different things that you did being a manager.
Well, yeah, I think I did. I came at the right time in the mid-'60s, and I did my hair blonde because I wanted to look like the wrestler. I wore sequins. I didn't wear suits and tuxedos. I wanted to manage like a wrestler and wrestle like a manager. So when I was outside and my man was in trouble, I reacted. I acted concerned. I was supposed to have a financial investment. You see, some guys, they're jumping up, running, yelling when nothing's happening. And when something's happening, they're sitting there watching. So I managed like it was a wrestler. When I got in the ring and hit a wrestler, then I put the brakes on. No, I was a chicken shit. I was a heel. I was a manager. And that's what got me over.
The name of the book is Bobby The Brain Heenan, Wrestling's Bad Boy Tells All. It's at bookstores now. Bobby, thanks again for coming on the show, and we look forward to speaking with you in the future.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
I picked the checkup out back, right, at 4 a.m.?
Exactly. That's it.
Thanks, guys.